What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It's Friday. That's spectacular. It was pretty good, wasn't it? I thought so. Did you watch it? Well, it's going to be public today on the SCHMOEDOWN channel, so make sure you check it out. All right, listen. We're not talking about SCHMOEDOWN right now. We're talking about the Matrix. A lot of Matrix. Why? Last week we did a Matrix rewatch. Today we do the Animatrix rewatch, which I hadn't seen in a long time since it came out. And this all leads up to Matrix Resurrections. And we'll be doing the next two following weeks as we get to the release of the new movie. Can't wait to do it. I've got Jandreau. I've got Kate Mulligan here. We're going to be talking about that. I'm excited to do it. Let's get going. It's going to be a little bit shorter episode here today, but nonetheless, it's still an episode, so stop you whining. Let's do it. You didn't whine. I'm whining. Let's go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a big thing. It's the Animatrix. Joined, as always, by our Matrix expert, Kate Mulligan.
I was really about to do that.
And Jandreau.
We were ready.
That's right. Last week we did the first movie, the one that started it all, kicked us all off, and now we got this one. Mm-hmm. So, Kate, you watched this one, and you were obviously this was the one that confused you the most. You have a lot of questions, even more questions about this one, right?
Well, listen, I gotta tell you, liking something and understanding something,
difference.
There's a difference, and I feel like I really liked this. I really liked it. I think it's like visually so beautiful. There was like there was some animation that like actually like took my breath away. I'm trying to think of it. There was which
the one with the
it?
girl when she is with the cat.
That one, but also there was another one. Like there was simple stuff. Yes, some of the runner
one was good.
The runner one is great.
You know, what reminded me of
incredible.
And it's funny. I wouldn't have said this obviously if I'd watched this a year ago, but it reminded me of my experience when I was watching Star Wars Visions.
Oh yeah.
So Star Wars Visions, which came out recently in Disney Plus, where a lot of these different anime tales inside of Star Wars. The difference, though, is that those Star Wars are not canon.
Right.
This is canon. This is canon to the overall story. There's stuff that ultimately plays in to the second movie. Like there's the scene.
Oh, see, I don't know the second movie.
Right, but now
okay.
You'll know. So you'll know when I can tell you that when there, you know that scene of the or not the scene, but the short of when the kid who's dreaming and then Neo helps him out and he jumps out the thing and ultimately doesn't die. He wakes himself up.
Yes,
that kid is in the second movie.
He's like an actual full-on character that's important to the story.
Yeah, and he says he's like
Mr. Popper. Mr. Popper.
Yes, because remember he says to him at the end, he's like, "You saved me." He's like, "You helped yourself, kid." And I think Neo says that to him in the actual movie too.
Yeah, it gets repeated, and the metaphors in that are then used well in the movie. So this does help enhance. I don't think it's like mandatory, but I think it's really essential.
It's not mandatory. You won't lose anything if you don't watch it.
But
there's
builds.
But what you do pick up though. They don't try to shine away that it's the humans that cause all of this.
Yeah.
Because the robots even went to court and said, "Hey, look, we want to
figure out our own thing.
We want to be friends with you guys."
Yes.
And then they beat the piss out of them and they destroyed them and
they destroyed the sky.
Yeah.
The beautiful use of wartime imagery. Like there's so many shots where they framed like iconic pieces of our human history. There's a lot of visuals that were like the Tiananmen Square moment or like I love that they used robot imagery in human aggression. That way we could feel the trauma of reliving it from the side of the robots, because then you identify with the robots subconsciously and consciously.
Yes. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed both Renaissance Part 1 and 2. I think those are my favorites. The story of how we got here.
Yes.
And the animation there, I love fractals, and I love the idea of like picture in a picture in a picture in a picture as you zoom out, because if you look at microscopes going into things and macroscopes looking at the universe, it's insane how many parallels there are.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that those episodes started by zooming in through those fractal imagery and zooming out through the fractal imagery, because it's kind of telling of what we are as a species and what the story it's telling of our whole experience. And they really did a great job making it traumatic. There's so many moments in that you really don't side with Team Human,
right?
But then other stories where you're like, ooh, those the oppressor. And that's a better war story than most war stories are told, because there's no villain there.
It's the Batman line, right? You live long enough to see yourself become the villain, because that's exactly what happens to the machines, because the machines are ultimately, at first, they just want to be there to please their masters.
Right.
And then they are given no respect.
And then they want to be sentient, or separate.
Yeah, and then they go off to create their own nation. They say, we want to be part of you guys now, and then they're told no. So when the war starts, they're, well, fuck you guys. And then they wind up kicking the shit out of all of them. And there is like that, the kind of it very harkens back to slavery and everything that happened, where the revolt against the owners, and then what happens though in this story is that as there's more of that evolution, very similar like Planet of the Apes too, right? So when you look at what happened, because you're on board, and in Avatar, right? Because you're on board with Planet of the Apes with Caesar, and you are on board with the apes, and you're saying, you know what? I understand why they're doing this, and you feel weird doing it because they're going against humans. But by the time we get to the Charlton Heston one, you're not on their side, because they have now ultimately become the same thing that they were fighting against. Yeah. And that's what the machines have done. Yes. By the time we get to the Matrix, by the time we get to the actual Matrix, they're now breeding humans for power and all that. Even though it was the humans who tried to block out the sky, they have ultimately become the villains, but they didn't start out that way.
And I think they do a really good job making sure that we have an eye line throughout all of that, because this is a really hard story to be like, who do we identify with? Yes. And the back and forth in those two animated sequences where they've got the government officials versus the underdog robot versus the soldiers versus there's always someone we're connecting with. And I think that's really impressive as someone that doesn't watch a lot of animation. I usually have a trouble connecting. Like there's an uncanny valley in looking at the eyes of something and not feeling like it's looking back at me. Right. In this, every single one of these 8 or 9 segments, I felt connected to that story.
Yeah, well, it was the tie-in to the grander story, right? And like there was, the first 2 are very fascinating because it goes back to when Morpheus is telling Neo all of this stuff. How we got here. How they tried to block out the sky. And there is that kind of really daunting scene when they block out the sky, and then all the government like, yeah, cheering, and you're like, oh, it's gross, right? And then the battles of everything that they're having, it's like there is that tie-in like global warming and all that.
Yeah, we feel like we've seen similar scenes, and the irony is they've used similar scenes to make us identify with the robots, but we're seeing similar scenes with the humans that make us identify with us as the enemy.
Yes. Okay, so
lots of panties. That's what I wanted to say.
Lots of panties.
There is a lot of panties.
Lots of panties.
It's true.
That's what I wanted to say, guys. Just
every segment, almost every one, got some panties.
When was the last time you watched this?
Before this, it had been like a decade. Okay, I do not watch this that often.
Same.
And I'm really, and I'm really glad I did, because it improved. I thought it was good. This was great.
It did, and again, I think that after watching Visions, it helped even more so. But the last one, which is the most Matrix out of all of them.
And that's the one with the machine that
That's when they're
trying to reprogram the machine.
No, that's not the last one.
That's not the last
one.
The
last one was the one where it looked like a video game where
they're cutting each other's.
The Flight of Osiris is the first one on my Blu-ray.
Oh, you have a Blu-ray.
Okay, that's why we can't talk orders then. So Flight of Osiris is my first one.
That's on HBO Max. It's the last.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think because it ties back in. Maybe they switched it around, but on HBO Max, it's
that's
the last one.
That's the one where they're cutting each other's clothes off.
Yes. Yeah, that's,
which like I love.
So they open with that one.
Little peeky peeks. Yeah, that's the first one.
Wow,
Blu-ray.
Is it really?
Renaissance 1 and
2.
That's our second. That's second and third.
Oh, that's first and second.
So Flight of Osiris, I love that we got basically machines making humans sexy because we're using CGI in a movie about machines.
Yeah.
And then we get that entire action sequence, which I think that's why it opened the movie, because that's the most photorealistic. So let's put people in this world.
It's that. It's also the most connected to
the Matrix.
Yes, but I think that's so probably why they end with it
on the new cut,
because you're ultimately leading into the next movie.
I wonder if other things are juggled.
Well, because that whole thing, because doesn't that, and I'm trying to remember, and I because we're going to be doing the rewatch of the second one next week, but they're the ones that got it's like Rogue One. Right?
Yes, they get in. They sacrifice themselves,
and they get it to, I think, Jada Pinkett, right?
Yes,
don't they get the,
and that all ties into the video game, which is really cool.
The video game,
dude, the video game was dope.
It was great. The video game played it, and it was canon. Also, played into all that stuff. That one's harder for us to rewatch and play through.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I remember playing that game. I loved that game,
dude. And the fight, Enter the Matrix. And you literally enter the Matrix, and it's cool because you see storylines outside the Matrix, but as soon as you plug in, you've got fight skills.
Roy Jones Jr.'s in that one too,
and you play as Jada Pinkett Smith.
That's right.
Dope.
Yes, I remember it. I loved it.
And it was all canon, written by the Wachowskis.
Yes.
Was Animatrix written by the
Wachowskis?
Produced.
No, they wrote some too.
They wrote some, but I don't think it's all.
I thought they wrote.
Let me look.
When I looked at, I was watching a lot of the credits at the end because Keanu Reeves and
he voices. Yes, I looked up a voice that I thought I recognized,
and so does Trinity, and Carrie Ann Moss does both. Because that one I loved, the film noir one with with
I'm a
Trinity.
detective. Yeah.
And like how he's like that guy, he's almost figured his way out.
Yes.
And she's about to show him. And,
That's incredible.
there's so much tragedy in this entire series. The Animatrix is really sad. Like nobody really makes it through for the most part.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of and by the way, even going back to the
they are attached to Alden.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what I thought. Because this was supposed to be a direct connective tissue right into that second movie.
Right.
Yeah, because it was this basically, because there's so much inside of it that it shows you how all the shit went down in the first place. Then it shows you people that are actually in the Matrix that don't know how to get that don't know they're in the Matrix.
Right.
Like there's also establishing that rule of the runner that you guys just mentioned of how he pops out of the Matrix without even having a red or blue pill. That it's not common, but it happens. And they established kind of all these rules. I would have liked to seen them do some of those stories.
I want an HBO Max series out of this.
That would have been cool too.
We can do that now.
You can do that, but I also think that they're probably going to do a Matrix series tying into whatever this movie is.
Sure, but you could do these little one-off stories like to build the world up. Like I would love to see an anthology. Imagine like a Twilight Zone Matrix.
It would have been great, but I would have rather seen some of the stories that they told in this instead of 2 or 3.
Oh, that's what I keep hearing. That's what it was supposed to be. I think these were stories they'd been intending to tell.
Should have done it.
Because I mean, even the samurai scene felt like it was programmed into the Matrix, and that would have been a story they could have done. Yeah, because 2 and 3, you'll see. I'm not the same.
I don't know. What if I love it, guys?
You might.
I'd be happy for you.
It's not. It's yeah. So I think when you watch 2. You'll enjoy 2.
Yeah.
I enjoyed 2 more than I remembered because of how much 3 tarnished me. Like you said last week, 2 was affected by 3 to the point where I was like, wait, does 2 own? And then 3 happened. I was like, oh, I'm back. Yeah. Like I'm back to that sadness.
But what I will tell you though is after you watch the second one, then look up Will Ferrell.
Oh my
as
God!
The Keymaster.
Vis-a-vis.
It is
but Animatrix,
Argo.
It's a TRL, the MTV Music Awards skit, and it is transcendent.
Yeah, you gotta watch
the movie first. Because much like Scary Movie, you'll see Bullet Time very differently after.
That's hilarious. Argo vis-a-vis Argo.
It's some of his best not SNL work, period. That being said, Animatrix for me was the first time I thought I want TV adaptations of things I've seen in movies. Because to me, watching all of these in 03 or 04, I was like, oh, give me a serialized bit of content. Give me this world being more immersive. Then they gave us the video game, and I was like, this is such a comic book-like, expansive world. And the Wachowskis come from comic books.
That's why I asked you about the Flight of Osiris, because I didn't remember that one at all. And I also was like, did they just add this recently? Because it looks... I just recently watched The Polar Express. And that movie came out around the same time. That
very early CGI, yeah.
And they're similar as far as how they look, right? And it hadn't gotten there yet. And I didn't think that the tech was there yet at that point, but clearly it was. But because it looked, I liked this one the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it wasn't, and I don't know if it's. I'm not a massive anime fan. I appreciate it. I think that it's gorgeous. Sometimes it loses me. Like in Visions, there was like a bunny rabbit that was talking and jumping around, and people are like, oh, but that's classic anime. I'm like, I don't like classic anime.
Right.
I'm like, it didn't work. The story itself was beautiful, but
I don't like bunny rabbit.
I don't like dog and bunny rabbit
in my movies.
What do you do? But there was but this anime though, I will say, there's no talking bunny rabbits.
It feels real, and you're really immersed.
You are, and there's a really disturbing image where one of the machines is like cyborg and dressed and basically has become a woman.
Yeah, that scene is so
tearing
traumatic.
her apart.
And they destroy her, they kill her, they beat her, and it is disturbing.
Yeah, those two back to back, and then the shot in the face with the explosion out, which is all of that.
Well, you feel sympathy for the machines in those first.
Oh yeah.
2,
or in your case, the second 2 and 3. But there's a lot that they set up very well, but you understand their anger and their angst, and you get it. But I'm trying to think, the other ones that really stood out was the Flight of Osiris one, the one where the turning of the robot. And
that was the last one on mine.
That was the last one.
I've got the second. That was our second to last.
Okay, so maybe the middle is in the same order. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It seems like I think they just moved that around for some reason, but probably because to lead you into the next movie because it is
even listed on Wikipedia as the order I have.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's weird.
HBO Max.
Yeah, HBO Max
lied to us.
They changed it up.
Shenanigans.
They lied to us.
And I bet you that they were very aware that people are going to basically do what we're doing and start watching these movies tying into it, and they want to connect it that way. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lana Wachowski was like, order it this way.
Yeah,
because
this is relevant.
Because that ties into it in general.
The one I enjoyed, I think the most now versus the first time was Kid's Story, which is the one that ties directly into Reloaded.
Well.
It is such a special experience to really reframe our reality and really put like feeling oppressed and feeling outsider, like we talked about the Matrix, and freeing your mind in that way. And
he takes Neo's spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would get made today. Because we have a lot more commentary on mental health and suicide and those things, and it is a very interesting thing to look at it in that way. Obviously, not knowing what reality is versus that suicidal choice, like it's a very jarring experience of me being a person who doesn't know if there's anything after death, wondering what that experience is like for people watching this that have a certain religious connotation or people that are a certain way, like what that one means to them. Because that is very clearly like espousing suicide for freedom.
It is. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's a good point. And it's another one that's also pretty devastating overall because you're like, even the teacher who's chasing him around, like you don't know if he's in on it, right?
Yeah, and he has agent moments where they frame him with the agent glasses.
But he's not.
But he's an authority figure.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and they kind of put this in all the movies is the suit, the buttoned up, like Neo going from clean cut and suited to like, obviously now in the fourth one he's full like long hair and bearded, but you see the relaxation. He's John Wick, but we see the relaxation of the characters, and any authority figure in these is more robot-like, is more of the oppressive side.
I don't remember. And then in the new one, is he wearing the potato sack again? Is Neo wearing that potato sack sweater that they?
Sometimes.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you mean in the
real world? I'm not sure. We haven't seen a lot of them in the real world in the trailer. You see him a couple times.
I got questions about the real world.
You see a couple times. I'm curious, but the question is, who is washing their asses out in there? Because they got to wash their ass out in the future.
With all those panties, you really got to make sure it's clean.
When you've got panties the way that this place has,
you got to do it.
To get the man his glasses.
Can't see him.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Behind the scenes.
I got it. Listen, you know what you got to do? I wanted to give my family and friends something more memorable than just a gift card this holiday season. But it can be tough to think of a meaningful gift. Trust me, I'm terrible at gifts. I want to gift something useful yet unique, cool yet eco-friendly, techie, but actually affordable. Hello Tushy. The Hello Tushy bidets tick all of those boxes. If you're buying for a lot of family members, Hello Tushy. The bidets are a great gift for your eco-conscious cousin, your neat freak sister, your farty dad, and anyone who poops. That's everyone. So we all deserve a better clean while contributing to a healthier planet. You want to talk about that gift that keeps on giving? Hello Tushy. Hello Tushy bidet. It'll clean your butt way better than wiping. It cuts your toilet paper down, that use by 80%. It saves trees and all the thousands of gallons of waters used to convert them into toilet paper. And it comes with a book full of poop jokes. I'm in. All right. So what does it do? Well, first of all, this bidet, when it was sent to me, man, I was like, I don't know if I'm able to do this. 10 minutes. Done. And you feel classy. You really do feel classy. It's like, what are you doing? You wiping your butt with a pizza with a towel? Stupid. I'm not me. I got water washing my butt. Washes your butt with fresh water for a way better clean than toilet paper. You simply spray it and then you pat it dry. You might as well just start speaking in an English accent afterwards. You're going to feel so nice about yourself. Or French. It attaches to your existing toilet. No electrician or plumber needed. It installs in less than 8 minutes. It cuts down your TP. That TP is toilet paper, and it's used by 80%. 80% it's going to cut it down by. Saving money and paper waste. Make the restroom, ready for this, your best room. With the complete Tushy system, including the Tushy bidet attachment, the ottoman, the toilet brush, and Tushy stand and tissues. Join those millions of Hello Tushy customers right now who take care of their Yule logs the dignified way. Give the gift of a clean bum to yourself or loved ones this holiday season and get 10% off plus free shipping right now at hellotushy.com/bigthing. Tag us, tag me, and Hello Tushy on social media so we can celebrate your clean butt. That's hellotushy.com/bigthing for 10% off and free shipping. Hello, Tushy. All right.
Hello, Tushy.
Oh,
that's what I kept saying. That's what I kept saying during the Animatrix.
Don't stop talking dirty. I guess you wouldn't be dirty. That's talking clean.
Very clean. Very clean talk.
Clean talk.
Hello, Tushy.
Yeah. Hello, Tushy. Do you think they'll do another Animatrix?
I think if it does well enough, it's a great way to sell side stories. And I really think this is one of the best anthology in animations I've ever seen.
It's a great one.
It's so investing.
I wonder how it's really doing on HBO Max. It's a great point that you make, though, earlier, too. I wonder if... So I just had a conversation recently with someone about, like, the Old Republic in Star Wars, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that, as you know, I've talked about how I prefer the shows for Star Wars now over movies. However, I do think if they did, like, an Old Republic... 3 Old Republic movies, then lead into a series establishing that time, that could work because we don't know much about that time. I feel like they could do the same thing for Matrix now because you have basically put 2 and 3 in the rear view and you're reestablishing and rebooting and resurrecting the franchise with this new movie, depending on how they set it up. And if it's done well...
Use all your mediums.
Yeah. And if it's done well... Give me a series.
Yeah.
Why not?
I really think they should because it's more topical now than in 99. Like I said last week, between Web 1 and Web 3, it's always right on the edge of being prophetic. If Resurrections is as good as I think it's going to be, we're going to need more outlets to tell all these stories because arguably now we're in more of a cautionary tale because we're further along. We're inventing robot dogs. We're inventing things that are in these anime movies. Like things that are in these movies are happening live, and that's terrifying.
It's funny how you can predict the future that way through technology. I remember it must have been 3rd grade, and I'll never forget this. And it was so foreign and not real that you'd be able to buy your groceries at home and just get them delivered to your house. And it was so futuristic.
Yeah.
And this is like 3rd grade. I remember whatever story this was like people would order stuff and order online, order wherever they would, and they would order it, and it would come to them. And I was like that. My mom goes to wall bounce. It's crazy. And then that short story, and I think that story was written in like the 70s or something, whatever it was. And it's amazing how you can, like, it's scary because this is not the only story that talks about AI. You listen to Elon Musk, terrified of
DARPA's co-founding a technology where there are robots that can now reproduce on their own. As of this week, they've announced publicly, which means it's 2 years ago because there's always stuff that's like way more advanced than what they're releasing to the public. There are robots that are able to reproduce without our assistance. That is the end.
That's what they're doing in the Animatrix.
That's what I'm saying. It's happening
in the
now.
Animatrix. There's that sign with I think it's the 2nd one or 3rd for you, where you see that line where they're evolving.
Yeah, they're creating their own AI and
they're evolving.
Yeah, leading up to their big, like, we've controlled the economy, we're willing to share. And that's also happening. Look at NFTs, look at cryptocurrency.
Right.
We're doing this unregulated blockchain, so we separate from our governments, which is important for us to separate from our governments. But in separating from our governments, we're separating from our humanity in that we lose everything if a bunch of ones and zeros goes down.
Right.
If you look back at Fight Club, my other favorite movie, the end of that movie is about destabilizing the government by destabilizing the financial power of the government by wiping all of our credit out to zero. That's all going to happen way easier now if there is no baseline. We got rid of the gold standard in the 70s where $1 could be traded in for $1 worth of gold. That did nothing to the economy. We were just like, we trust the government enough that it's the same. If we now have a bunch of people telling us what the dollar is worth and then someone just goes, boop, there's no more money.
Right.
There's so many people getting ripped off because they're buying like coins and things that aren't legit and then people just steal their money. That's only going to exponentially increase the more we have deregulated, which is important, but there's got to be a balance. Yeah. So if money's now make-believe, we're screwed. And like this is the beginning of the Animatrix.
I mean, there's a lot of that.
Are you an NFT guy?
I'm a crypto casual, and I'm aware of NFTs to the point where I'm keeping an eye on them, but I feel like it's like the Beanie Baby era where things are going to be worth a lot right now. Yeah. I do think there's going to be a time when everything's an NFT. I think there's going to be a time where like getting a movie ticket, it's going to be a non-fungible token, which is blockchain shared across the internet so no one can copy it. But I'm personally still like, I don't want to own the Mona Lisa on my phone because you just take a snapshot. Like, I'm not sure of the value for me of non-tangible goods because I'm such a, like, believe in this world as much as I don't believe in this world, but I believe in, like, tangible.
Yes.
So, like, I buy my comic books to hold because I can resell that comic. I don't understand how Marvel and DC sell their digital comics for $4 and their analog comics for $4. You can't resell that digital comic. I can resell my tangible comic. So my monkey brain can't go, like, NFT worth anything. Like, I'm not able to process that yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it for the day it becomes more of an element to me.
And where are you on panties?
I love them, but I need a tushy to make sure I can wear them.
Right,
you know, very important.
True.
Silk is especially my jam. Lacy.
Well, that's a different movie. I was gonna say
that's Bound by the Wachowskis, which I also recommend.
Where do you stand on Magic Spoon?
That's how I fit in my panties.
Magic Spoon, 100%. Magic Spoon, ladies and gentlemen, Magic Spoon. It is it's delicious. And growing up, cereal's the best part of everybody's life as a kid. But you got to give it up. Why? Because it's full of sugar and it's just junk that you shouldn't eat. You want to try to cut down on carbs and sugar and unhealthy food? Sure. But then you can't eat anything anymore. You tried the protein shakes, you did the powder. But now there is a delicious way to get your protein before your workouts. Everybody tries to eat better, but healthy breakfast, it doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors that you love, but without all the bad stuff. Listen to this. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Only 140 calories a serving. It is keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb. It's a variety pack. 4 flavors are cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. I love the peanut butter and the cocoa. I'm getting to the fruity and the frosted soon. I'll probably be raving about that soon. But right now, I'm hooked on the peanut butter and the chocolate. Go to magicspoon.com/bigthing, grab a variety pack, and try that today. And be sure to use our promo code BIGTHING at checkout and save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/bigthing and use that code BIGTHING. Save $5 off. Thank you so much to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode. All right.
I got one more thing that's really important to me if we got time.
Yeah, we do.
So in the flight of the Osiris, the first or last, depending on your edition, I've noticed a lot of criticism about the opening being so, like, they wasted time with that instead of getting to the action. And, like, the sexual dance of...
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was reading reviews today because I was curious how people had received it over the years. Okay. So I was reading some... I
was like, Kristian's trying to see if they have that opening scene on the
Oculus. They do. Why was the door locked before you...
So between people saying like that was a waste of like tech and stuff, and then the end of the movie for me, Matriculated was the last one where it was us trying to show the value of humanity to the robot, us trying to, ironically, the beautiful juxtaposition is in The Matrix we are convinced of our humanity being important by machines, and in this short it's us trying to convince machines of the importance of humanity. Like they're very intentionally inverse. But I loved how sexually charged Matriculated was, because one of the things that separates us from machines is we're not just replicating. We experience great joy and freedom through sex, and we experience this passionate flow state. I mean, come on, Kate. You got kids. That's not worth it. It's got to be important. But
that's why it's not important anymore.
It's a fucking chore. It's a fucking chore. I hate doing.
But what's so interesting to me is we have as our culture shunned sex more and more, because I've talked about it on many shows. Like, we were founded by Puritans and we've stayed much more a religious country than we actually think we are. Like, we swear in a Bible and shit. Like, we claim we're not this thing that we are. And then you've got people like the Wachowskis who have transitioned from being men to women and clearly are very pro-sex through all of their work and are very pro-sex work, and they're very pro that freedom. And I mean, we have different sex, but when I'm having sex and it's this flow state of almost escapism, it's almost drug-like, it's almost euphoric, and it's almost visually inducing. It's interesting to me that we have that tied to the robots to such a level of, this is the thing that makes us human. That's the Zion rave in you'll see in the second one. That's such that element, and I wonder how other audiences in other countries look at us going like, no sex, we can only show beheadings but not tits. And then you look at movies like this that are like, this is how you free your mind, this is how you escape, and whether or not that resonates to other cultures as strongly, because it is such a foundational part of what separates us from the machines. Like, I imagine in Europe they're like, yeah, we don't, it's not a big deal, bro. Like, why is this a thing for you? Right. But it's us being so stifled as a society that I think makes The Matrix resonate so much more here. If that makes sense.
100% does. I mean, I think it goes back to exactly what we were talking about last week with this movie. All those themes are in this Animatrix for sure. It stays consistent. That's why I had so much hope going into the second movie, because it's like, oh, okay, well, they haven't missed a beat.
Yeah.
They didn't miss a beat. Like, everything that they set up with the speeches from Morpheus or stuff from the Oracle or things you heard from the agents. It's all right here in this Animatrix thing. So obviously this is all going to play in. They just try to do too much. And it's amazing that with all the stuff that they do in these 9 shorts, they fit so much in.
Yeah. It's only an hour and 40 minutes.
I know. And it works very well. And I don't know if people have seen the full Animatrix. You can watch it on HBO Max.
Apparently in the wrong order.
Yeah. Mix it up.
I know. I wonder why they changed it up. I'd like to get an answer for that. I need answers.
Lana, explain yourself.
I need answers for sure.
Lily, what do you have to say for
what
yourself?
Did you do?
What did you do?
Does anybody? So, any other closing?
Yeah, no, I would say if I lived in Europe, I would also probably still not enjoy sex right now.
Yeah.
Just
come on, Kate. Come on.
But as far as
I loved it. I feel like it is so. I feel like it is a visually captivating series. I also didn't know it was shorts until I started watching it.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's called the you're like, you're gonna watch the Animatrix,
right.
and
so
to me, I'm like, that's one entity.
Yeah,
like that's one entity. I'm like, it's gonna be a. So I loved it, and I don't feel like all of the artists were the same. It felt a lot like
different.
Visions that there was different artists for the shorts.
Well, certainly with the Osiris ones.
It was 9 segments, 8 artists, because there's a part 1, part 2 to the Renaissance.
Right,
the rest are all different.
And I just felt like it was, I don't know, I just really loved watching it. And I actually was thinking how, I know weed's not your thing, but I would love to watch it high too.
Oh,
it's just so beautiful, like sober.
It's a gorgeous, and I like that they kept the music. There's a lot of the music, and it's subtle when the music comes in for the Matrix. And the film noir one was really great. I think that I don't know which one, I think the one I liked probably the least, and not even that I disliked it, just like the least, was probably the one with the cat.
The haunted house.
Same here.
Yeah.
It was doing a purpose of explaining the glitches and stuff, but it didn't it felt a little long, and the rest didn't for me.
Yeah.
It was just dragged out a little bit. It kind of reminded me of Thor: Dark World when they go into that space where they keep like throwing.
And the truck just floating and stuff. Yeah, I can totally see that.
It reminded me of that.
But each one handled a different philosophical quandary, and that one is about the disparate worlds and all those things. So I like that if you looked at them individually, you still get a journey, and if you watch it as a whole, you get like this philosophical lesson in the concepts of the Matrix. And
I really appreciated Renaissance 1 and 2 because I was like,
beautiful.
Now I understand how we got to where we got. Because like truly, if we were to watch it in order,
which we thought about doing with you. Remember,
we did.
We were like
the first 2.
It would have been too confusing if you watched that first.
Right, I agree. But that if once I watch everything, I might watch Renaissance 1 and 2, and then I might watch The Matrix, and then I might,
leading up to opening night
while having sex.
Well, while
having very boring casual
doing my duty.
There's some toys. I'll tell you places.
Listen,
I got you. I'll help you out.
I used to really enjoy it. And I'm just too fucking tired. I'm just too tired. I already have so many people touching my body all day long. It's my kids.
Right.
Just to be clear. Yeah. I just want to
be able to free your mind, Kate.
I just want to sit down and play Breath of the Wild.
Right.
And kill.
That's what I'm encouraging, is you getting some Breath of the Wild. Kate, I'm trying to get you the free your mind sex.
Listen.
She doesn't need it anymore.
I don't need it anymore. I got
enough
what
of Breath
I needed.
of the Wild.
Although I got to tell you, I'm like a couple months away from turning 40, and I hear I'm going to get a second wind in my 40s. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
That's exciting.
Well, isn't that ironic? So something you don't like, you're looking forward to liking.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the joy.
Perfect. All right. So before we go, one last thing for everybody here too, and this is something. Now I talked to Coy about this one, Fitbod.
That's how I have all the energy for the sex I'm talking about.
That's right.
Tantric Fitbod.
Since I've been talking about this, more people. I get a lot of people have been signing up for this one. People really love Fitbod. Don't get stuck doing the same workouts. You want to make progress towards the future. It means overcoming new challenges. This is what Fitbod does. It creates a fitness program that can continually adapts with new exercises and dynamic intensity that adjusts to how you're progressing, so you'll be challenged to meet your goals at your own pace. Perfection's an illusion, everybody. There's always a higher level to strive for that looks different for everyone, especially when it comes to fitness. There is no perfect body that everyone can achieve, but what we can do is continually become a better version of ourselves. No workout is one size fits all. Fitbod creates a fitness program that continually adapts to you, so you stay challenged with new exercise, pacing, and intensity based on where you are and where you want to be. There's a lot of great stuff with this app, too. It's great that you can pick workouts tailored to the equipment that you have and the goals that you have. The app has very clear and easy follow instructions. For me, I like how it balances the muscle groups, and you just recover real quick after the next workout. So you as soon as you use it enough, you'll feel stronger, faster, thanks to just the personal training in general that you normally get bored of workouts. I know I do. the routines, the same ones. But Fitbod, what they do is they keep things fresh. Fitbod helped me work out every muscle group without overworking any of them. Fitbod understands the path to achieving best looks is different for everyone. Whether you're exercising 3 days a week or twice a day, every workout is scientifically proven to be better than the last. And the workouts are balanced to avoid overworking muscles with varied exercises to keep you sharp. Personal training can be tough on the budget. Fitbod's only $12.99 a month or $79.99 a year. Sign up now. You're going to get 25% off your membership. Pick up that pace on the fitness journey with Fitbod today, and your future self will thank you. Get 25% off your membership. That's fitbod.me/SENlive. All right, let's wrap it up here, kids. Overall, last thoughts on Animatrix?
Better than I remembered.
Yes.
Better than the sequels. I think it's actually better than Reloaded. And I had thought comparable to Reloaded. I think in this review, it's actually better than Reloaded. And I'm someone that struggles with animation. And this, weirdly, while having me identify with robots, when I usually feel disconnected from animation because I don't identify with the humans, made me identify with the humans and the robots more enough that it's one of my favorite animes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No.
You?
I caught none of that.
Final thoughts?
Absolutely beautiful.
But?
Absolutely beautiful. No, I think that there's still, like, I feel like all of the Matrix content is really ripe for a rewatch for me.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Like, you know, to pick up more things. Like the fact that I even missed like a very big plot point. We discussed that. I was like, how come he didn't die? And you guys were like, because he didn't believe it.
You've seen it once. We've seen it probably.
We've seen it so many times. So you will watch it again. You'll start to see. You will pick up way more.
And I think I feel that way about the Animatrix too. I'll watch it again and again and again.
Well, then I am very curious to see how you're going to feel about next week, because I have to tell you that many times when we talk about 2 and 3, I get a lot of comments. I'm sure I'll get it on this video, and I'm sure we got a lot last week about people who really enjoy 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. Really, there are. I mean, it's not one of those movies that, terrible.
Yeah.
Like, some people really like it. But I'm curious to think, we're going to be back for the second movie next week. And if you didn't do this already, please do it. Please subscribe and hit that notification button. Anytime we have a new episode of The Big Thing, that's where it is. So please go and check that out. The subscribe button, brand new to the channel, please do that. We've got reviews. We've got a whole bunch of things. If you didn't check it out, The Spectacular, it's up today. It's up today. So make sure you check that out as well. All right, thank you to both Corey Jandreau and to Kate Mulligan. We will be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. Excited to keep talking. So let's get the hell out of here. Peace out.